Now when you get these from them, they come dehydrated. So I'm going to show you the process in this video of how to rehydrate them, which is very easy and is very similar to how you would make the kefir every day after that. So to start with, you want to use a really high quality milk. This one I have is organic, grass-fed, and unhomogenized. If you can get it from a local source, great. If you can get raw milk, even better. A lot of states you can't get that in. These are the milk kefir grains. In the box comes instructions as well as recipes. Now this comes with powdered milk in here. It's important to understand these are grains, not powdered kefir. These are the grains. You want to put this in a glass jar. You want to avoid plastic and especially avoid metal. And you want to store this between 70 and 78 degrees is best. We're going to pour a cup of milk in there. So you can see it's organic, grass-fed, and unhomogenized. Ultra-pasteurized you really want to avoid, but you want to get the highest quality milk you can. This is going to emit gas, as kefir does, which you want to let out, but the gas tends to attract bugs. So you have to cover this. So you can use a coffee filter with a rubber band around it, or just put a tea towel over it. Or if you have to, you can just put the top on. Let it sit for 24 hours in a reasonably warm place. And we're going to come back in 24 hours and see how it looks. So here we are, day 2 of rehydrating. As you can see, the milk is still very watery, not even close to being kefir. The smell is going to change during the process. Right now it smells a little sour, a mild clay-like smell. And what we're going to do is strain out the grains. This is a plastic strainer. I normally don't like to use plastic for anything, but you can't use metal for this because the metal can interact with the grains. So what we're going to do is make sure we get all the grains out of there. You can see the fat of the milk comes through with this. The grains are in there. A couple hours ago I took the milk and put it in a jar so that it wasn't cold from the refrigerator. And we're just going to take those grains and put them right in the new milk. And we're just going to cover this up and come back in 24 hours. Okay, so here we are at day 3. You can see the milk is still very watery, showing that the grains are still not yet out of hibernation. The smell is still sour. It's a little bit like baby formula. It's almost less than it is yesterday. So we're going to change the milk again. You can see the grains are in there. And when the kefir grains are out of hibernation, the milk's not going to be sour like this, but this milk really should be discarded. Maybe you could cook with it. But so we're going to put the grains in the new milk. Now, if you're using unhomogenized milk like I am, you're probably going to have to fish the grains out of the fat that's in there because they're so small right now. You just cover it up and be back in 24 hours. So they say it takes between 4 and 7 days for these grains to reactivate, and here we are at 4 days, and you can hopefully see there in the video it's much thicker, the milk now. So they're finally starting to wake up, and it smells exactly like a vanilla yogurt. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to strain with the grains being so small. See how thick it is there in the strainer. We're going to have to push it through. So as you can see here, the grains are about the only thing that didn't go through. You can see how small they are. This is why it's really important to have a very thin strainer. Now that your grains are a little bit more lively, they're going to need more milk sugar. So once this happens, you're going to want to use a cup and a half of milk as opposed to just a cup of milk. And now this kefir is safe to drink, but it's not going to taste good at all, especially to newcomers to kefir. So you might want to just discard it and wait a couple more days. It has a higher yeast content now than friendly bacteria. So until that balances out, it's going to taste pretty bad. So we're just going to take this whole thing and just put it right in to the new milk. So here we are at day 5, and the milk thickness and the smell is about the same as yesterday, so we're not going to need to add any more milk. Increasing the amount of milk depends on how thick the kefir is becoming. You want to get it so that get the grains out of there before it separates and turns to curd and whey, because at that point you're starving the grains and they could die. Now the grains are very forgiving, but you also don't want to do that because when the grains are in the curd, it's harder to separate them. So the grains tend to get caught up in this thick mess of milk, fat, and kefir combination in the bottom here. So agitating the jar allows them to get more milk sugar or lactose because it takes them out of this thickness and allows them to grow faster. As mentioned yesterday, the taste might be a little sour, but at this point it's okay for you to eat. In fact, it's good for you, and you might want to just refrigerate it for a day and mix it with a shake or something like that to take the sourness away, but it's good for you to eat. Okay, it's now day 6, and if there was any doubt before, these grains are certainly reactivated and ready. Normally you would just look for some coating on the spoon, but as you can see here, the consistency is very thick, even to the point of some separation happening in the bottom, which means that it's turning to curds and whey, which is also okay to eat, but you want to get the grains out of there when you see that happening because it's starving them. So it is clearly thick, and we are going to start putting that through. Smell is like a kind of a fresh yogurt. I also did a second fermentation on the kefir from yesterday, and you can see a clear separation of the curds and whey. This is the most bioavailable protein you can get and what they make whey protein powder from. And we'll talk more about that in the next video on making kefir. It's almost like a clear liquid. You can't see it so good on the camera. Now, making the kefir every day basically entails the same process that we've been doing of putting milk in, changing it every 24 hours. So you can see the making kefir video for more info about that. You can eat the kefir in the same way that you would any type of yogurt. You could put this one, because it's a little more liquidy, you could put it in your cereal. I put mine in a shake in the morning, but you could eat it with fruit as well. I would start with just a little bit at a time because your body might go through some minor healing crisis, give you some digestion problems. But I think you're really going to like it, and it tastes great. Good luck with it.